My life flows on in endless song above its lamentation. I hear the reel of far off hymn that heals a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me rolls, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to the rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Diamonds tremble as they beam, the bells of freedom ring. When friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To these and sad dungeons our thoughts turn our wing. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song of its lamentation. I hear the reel of him that hears a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation Santa Rosa Sunday service. I'm so glad to welcome you today. We know that hearts are full and minds are overwhelmed with all that is occurring in our country right now. For this reason, I am so glad to welcome you to worship, a time set aside to center, to reflect, to renew, to nourish the spirit, and to connect into community. However you're feeling today, welcome. Our service today is called The Gifts of Pride Rising, a service honoring, acknowledging, and celebrating Pride Month in the context in which we are in right now. I offer thanks for all of the people that have helped make today's worship possible. And I want to offer a warm greeting, especially to those who might be joining us for the very first time. We create worship services every week, and they're available to be accessed at any time. You can find them on our website. If you want to get more information about what's happening in the life of our congregation, please do look out for information, both online and in Facebook. And you can also contact our administrative manager, Don Silveira, who can help you get connected, maybe sign you up for our constant contact list, and then you can learn more about all the goings-ons. There are so many ways that our congregation is keeping connected. We are a vibrant community, deeply alive, joyfully connected. We have groups that are working on social justice. We have groups meeting for spiritual inquiry and deepening with the Soul Matters content. And so we invite you to just dive in or dip your toe in and learn a little bit more. Next Sunday, our worship service will be a celebration of our religious education. Jen Fries is our Director of Religious Education, and there is so much happening in religious education. There are opportunities for young ones to gather on Sunday mornings via Zoom, and the program is just going strong. And next Sunday in worship, we're going to be celebrating it. I'm sure it's a service you won't want to miss. Also, next Sunday, we will be having our congregational meeting. Our congregational meeting will be from noon to 2 on June 14th. Noon to 2, June 14th. And the Zoom room will open at 11:30. So you can practice logging in and getting all settled in. You can get online at 11:30. Any questions, please do contact Dawn in the office and Dawn can help you out. I also want to say thank you so much to some special guests that will be joining us today in worship. I lift up praise and thanksgiving for Dr. Glen Thomas Rideout. Dr. Glen Thomas Rideout has been making music that is powerful, moving, and generously available to congregations, Unitarian Universalist congregations across the country. And so we'll be experiencing some of Glen Thomas Rideout's music today. Also want to say welcome and thank you for the Santa Rosa Junior College Chamber Singers who are joining with our choir members to create a piece of music that will be in our service today. Thank you to Sadie Sontag, our choir director, for making that happen. And thank you to Roger Corman, our pianist, who just creates wonderful piano music across so many services. Thank you to all the musicians that have been so creative and generously sharing at this time. Also want to say welcome and thank you to Reyes. Reyes is a dear person to me, a former student of mine from Mills College, now an alum who's going to be sharing a personal piece in our service today. Thank you to all the voices who will be sharing so personally and deeply in our service today. And last but certainly not least, I want to acknowledge that many of you have probably gotten the message in written form, the news that I will be in a ministerial transition, and at the end of the month I'll be transitioning out of my role as assistant minister at our congregation. My heart is both sad for this transition and also deeply hopeful about the future. And I look forward to talking more with you through texts and emails and online through Zoom and also coffee hours. And so across the month, I hope to be in more conversation with you. Rev Chris and myself issued some communications. I'm working on a video that will also share some pieces of news about this, and there'll be more concrete information soon. For right now, I want you to know this. I love you. My life has been deepened and transformed by being one of your ministers. I will always support, care about, and affirm the ministry in Santa Rosa, and I will not be far away. I am going to be remaining local, and we will continue to be neighbors geographically and neighbors in our whole Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. I know that we will remain connected even while our relationship might be transforming. And so I do want you to know how much I care about you. And I look forward to talking with you more in different venues about this transition. And now I invite us to take a deep breath and enter into worship, the gifts of pride rising.
Hello. I'd like you now to grab a candle or a chalice, and we'll light the chalice together this morning. A Protest and a Party by Hannah Roberts Villeneuve. People sometimes ask, is pride a protest or a party? And the answer is yes, of course. And why not? Why not rejoice as we resist, dance as we demand change, celebrate as we create community that delights in all of who we are? So bring all of that with you this morning. Bring your policy demands and bring your glitter. Bring your Supreme Court broken heart and bring your rainbow socks. Bring the emptiness you feel for our siblings gone too soon. Bring your Gloria Estefan remix. Bring your tender hope for change. Bring your most garish eyeshadow. Bring your spirit tattered and battered by a world that seems to insist on choosing fear and hate. Gather up all of these things and bring them here, to a place where we don't have to shoulder these burdens or celebrate these joys alone. Come, let us worship together.
thousands you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
On a Holy Night in 1969 by Otto O'Connor. On a holy night in 1969, in an inn, also known as a bar, called the Stonewall Inn, a basement, which had no running water, nor safe fire exits, queer people of many colors and kinds danced together, for it was the only place where they were allowed to dance, at least permitted to by the mafia who ran the inn. In those days, it was common for the police to frequent this inn. No, not to join in the dance, the underground celebration, but to send the dancers home and make arrests. When they would arrive, the lights would go on and people would be lined up, and then all those in drag, all those who were trans, all those without proper identification, they were taken and arrested and taken into custody. But on this holy night, that early morning of June 28th, the people said, "Not tonight." As they called them to line up, the trans women refused to go. And as the police began to beat and arrest them, and as the people spilled out from the bar onto the street, Christopher Street, a crowd grew to watch. And then, as trans women, lesbians, and gay men were getting arrested, a yell came from the crowd, "Gay power!" And as a trans woman was shoved, she shoved back, and the crowd began throwing bottles at the wagon, and suddenly it erupted. For once, the people didn't line up. For once, the people said, "No more, we've had enough." It was almost as if that night, being pulled out of the darkness of the underground at Stonewall Inn one too many times, they said, "I'm ready to be seen." On this holy night, when the power of the oppressed rippled through the streets of New York, when queer people said no more, our world would never be the same. 50 years ago, it was illegal to be gay, to be trans, to dance and to love and to celebrate. Only now, 50 years later, here we are celebrating at a church, gay and straight together, queer and straight together, trans and cis together, all in this together. And so as we hear these stories of life and love and defiance and celebration, let us also remember and pay tribute to our movement ancestors, many of them trans women of color who led the first rebellion that night. You see, Pride is a celebration of that anniversary, the anniversary of that riot at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a holy night. So happy Pride. Welcome to this joyful celebration. Bring your whole selves, your gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer selves, your drag queen, butch and femme, cross-dressing, nail painting, tutu-wearing selves, your gender queer, gender fluid, agender, pansexual, quilt bag selves, and all the other identities that are and will be. And let's have a celebration, because joy is a rebellion too. And this church is queer, queer and fabulous. Amen. Let us begin.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dara. You guys might know me from the RE wing, where I work with some of the younger kids. Today, I'm going to be sharing a story with you guys. The story we're reading today is called Neither. by Airlie Anderson. It's a story about what it's like to be in between and being neither this nor that, and how it can be to fit in when you find yourself in that place. Once upon a time, there were two kinds, this and that. These and those. One or the other, until... Honk. What kind are you? I'm both. You can't be both. You must be neither. I'm neither? Neither tried to play at this game. You can't play with us. You're not rabbity enough. Neither tried to play at that game. You can't play with us. You're not birdie enough. Why don't you find somewhere else? You're not one of us. You're neither. Neither, neither, neither. Ooh, we're changing. Where did you come from? Honk. I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither. So I'm looking for somewhere else to fit in. This isn't somewhere else, but you'll fit in here. Where is here? So many different kinds. Oh, I love this. I love all the different kinds. In the land of all. Come play with us. But I'm different from everyone here. I'm neither red, nor orange, nor yellow, nor blue. Exactly. Aw, it's a rainbow. Excuse us, we're from the land of this and that, but we don't fit in at home. We are looking for somewhere else. But you said I was neither. You said I should go somewhere else. Well, this isn't somewhere else. This is the land of all. And everyone fits in here. Once upon a time, there were many kinds. This and that, somewhat and whatnot. Either, very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither, and both. And all were welcome. The end. Well, thanks everyone for joining me with that story. I really like it. I think it shows how we can find ourselves in places where we don't fit in with one group or another, and that can be okay. And it's important to celebrate our differences and to find happiness with the people who accept you for being who you are. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Hello, my name is Tamra Murrell, and I'm a member of the Advocates for Social Justice and the Diversity Project. In celebration of Pride, I'd like to lift up two local groups who are doing amazing work in helping to make Sonoma County a place where all LGBTQI people and their allies are affirmed and are building a just and equitable society for all. The first group is Positive Images. Since 1990, Positive Images has been providing support, advocacy, and education to Sonoma County's LGBTQI community. The second group is Petaluma Team for Inclusivity, Diversity, and Equity. Petaluma Tide works with youth and communities through dialogue, education, and advocacy designed to create equity and inclusion in our K-12 schools. Contact for both of these groups is here on your screen. I invite you to check them out. On a personal note, for many of us, living in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic is a time of reflection. In the early weeks of the shelter in place, I noticed within myself a growing sense of unease. Fears of contagion, looking around at those I love, wondering which one would get sick, which ones will die. Wondering if I would get sick too. Hearing statements from folks, I can't believe our government would just ignore an epidemic that threatens thousands of people. I realized then that I've been down this road before. Working as a nurse and healthcare worker in the 1980s and 90s, I witnessed as the relentless devastation of the AIDS epidemic and the impact on my LGBTQI community. There are many differences between AIDS and COVID-19, but there are also haunting similarities. The government inaction, misinformation and bigotry, inequities in healthcare, and the turning away of those particularly in marginalized communities, watching them die. During these years, my community rallied. We took care of our brothers and sisters when their families abandoned them. We refused to be ignored. We sewed panels for the AIDS Memorial Quilt in memory of loved ones. Nationwide, AIDS activists staged protests to demand government action, leading to more money for research, leading to antiviral drugs that today now save lives. Here in Sonoma County in 1983, a small group of dedicated individuals in Guerneville formed the River AIDS Support Group to help friends and loved ones who were ill and dying. This group started the organization Face to Face, which continues to serve our local HIV community today. Those years of the AIDS pandemic brought hard-won gifts of strength and resilience, a recognition of our interconnection, and pathways to take action. And now today gives me hope as a faith community we can face the COVID-19 pandemic together and come out stronger. Lastly, I'd like to add a name to our Milestones book. My colleague Joanne Reyes contracted HIV as a result of an accidental needle exposure while working as a nurse at a hospital in Sacramento. In 1991, 29 years ago this week, Joanne became the first known healthcare worker to die from AIDS. Joanne was a single lesbian mother who loved her daughter and was an amazing and caring nurse. Joanne made her story public, and while she was still healthy enough, she talked about AIDS in classrooms, conferences, and before TV cameras, telling firsthand how the disease causes loneliness, discrimination, and rejection, even from her own family. It is with deep gratitude to Joanne and innumerable others of my community who are the ground that I proudly stand on today. Thank you.
Good morning. Milestones are where we share our joys and sorrows with the congregation. Births and birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and other joyous occasions, as well as more tender moments that we hold close to our hearts, such as deaths, illnesses, injuries, and difficult transitions. These are the milestones we share online this week. Mary Lil Lee's oldest grandson, Stephen Gardner Cook, graduated from Petaluma High School on Saturday, May 30th. He was an excellent student and a talented musician. He played trumpet with several of the school bands, jazz band being his favorite, and it was always fun at concerts to hear the director say, "That was Stephen Cook on the trumpet." He also auditioned and played with the Santa Rosa Junior Symphony Orchestra. He's off to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where he will major in math and also play in their band. And on top of everything, he's a kind, gentle, sensitive young man. We're very proud. From Beth Craven, Brian and I are so proud of Rowan, who just completed his sophomore year of high school on Friday. He did it despite teachers struggling with new technology, coursework changes, missing his friends, and long days sitting in front of a computer. We know it was rough, and we know how hard he worked. We hope he is as proud of himself as we are of him. My grandniece, Isabella Bonifaire, graduated from Treetop School in San Francisco. She was one of the valedictorians. She will be going to Lowell High School. This is from her proud great-auntie, Bertha Jean. Congratulations to all of our students and parents and teachers for completing a particularly stressful and memorable year. Another joyous occasion, tomorrow, June 8th, Frances and Roger Corman will celebrate their 40th wedding anniversary. We got married in 1980 at Sugarloaf Ridge State Park Group Campsite, right where the observatory is now located. We also recently had our 20th anniversary of becoming UUCSR members. Lots to celebrate. We have several milestone birthdays this week. Gretchen Vapp and Jeannie Bates both turned 80 this week. Happy birthday. Al Leiner turned 70. As he put it, who'da thunk? Betty Spofford asked, please add my sister's name, Betsy Spofford Ward, to the milestone list. She's recovering from a successful 9-hour surgery at the Mayo, Minnesota, 2.5 weeks ago to correct spinal problems. She's doing beautifully. Hard to keep the Spoffords down. Roger De Beers says, thank you for the homemade chicken soup, the best ever, and it passed the Roger Jr. test. Tamra Murrell shared these poignant milestones. 29 years ago this week, my colleague, Joanne Ruiz, died from AIDS. Joanne was a single lesbian mom who fiercely loved her daughter and was an amazing, funny, and compassionate nurse. Transgender advocate Lorena Borjas has died after contracting COVID-19 at the age of 59. Originally from Mexico, Lorena has been called the mother of the transgender Latinx community in New York and fought tirelessly for the rights and well-being of LGBTQ people, immigrant communities, and sex workers. Lorena Borjas started a mutual aid fund for members of the transgender community who were suffering financial hardship during the coronavirus. Our prayers go out to Lorena's family and her beloved community. Thank you all for sharing. If you have something to share, please send it to laychaplains@uusantarosa.org. Let us know if you want it included here in the online service or just in the weekly compilation and Milestones book. If you have a private concern, we'd love to talk to you. Your lay chaplains are Lucia Milburn, Barbara Kieser, Bruce Hope, Tamra Murrell, Mary Lil Lee, Al Leiner, and me. Rev Chris wrote our closing prayer. We give thanks for the sharing of these milestones, for they remind us of our shared humanity and our common fate, and inspire our compassion and care. May all our joys be magnified as we delight together in the good news. May all our sorrows be eased as we carry them together in community. May you who are searching for courage, comfort, faith, and hope find what you seek. And may all people grow in wisdom, compassion, and love, that the whole world might live in justice, with justice, and in peace. Be safe and be well.
I invite you now into an experience of prayerful reflection. You might decide to grab a candle that you can light for memory or hope, or you can just allow the chalice and candles lit here to be yours this morning. I invite you now to take an opportunity to connect with your own breath, your own body, your own being. And I offer us these words. Spirit of love, spirit of abiding hope and courage, endurance and perseverance. We invite this day a recognition for the struggle for Black liberation and true democracy and the future of this country. Holy Mystery, source of love that spans across time and place, let us remember those who have gone before in the struggles for justice. Today we honor and acknowledge those who have struggled to birth a movement for LGBTQIA2S liberation in this country, a movement about human wholeness, the opportunity to be oneself, to love, to be known. We pray for a world in which all people can be known and self-expressed. Dear Holy Source, help us to remember that we are strong when we are together. Help us to remain humble and hopeful as our country unfolds before our eyes, and we, the participants, let us lift up the courageous, enduring leadership of people of color. Let us remember still that violence exists and is directed so often at folks of color, and in particular, trans folks of color, even now, as people take to the streets. Help us to remember the call of common humanity. Help to bring forth a sense of well-being and hopefulness in this country. Let us allow ourselves a sense of compassion for ourselves as individuals. Let us send some loving thoughts, healing thoughts, to those in our families, our fellow congregants, those in our neighborhoods and our communities, those in the streets, peacefully directed towards change. Spirit of love, we give thanks for the opportunity to enter into love's mystery and to be part of this unfolding journey, for all the many gifts of our lives and the struggle for social change and deep transformation. Let us say amen and blessed be.
Hi, my name is Reyes. I use they, them pronouns, and I've known Dara, Reverend Dara now, for the past almost 4 years. I want to thank you for allowing me into your Pride service, especially in this time of a pandemic and also strong militarization against our communities as we fight for our Black community and for their lives to matter. In my reflection, I'd really love to lift some voices up, some voices within my community and their actions. My friend Sihon is one of my best friends, and I've known her now for almost 4 years. And we have this thing where we just look at each other and we meet eyes. And while it may not seem like a lot from outside, internally, it's this moment where we can look at each other's eyes and immediately say the things that we can't express vocally, whether it be our feelings of anger, our feelings of sadness, our feelings of happiness, even moments of humor or moments of peace. We can look into each other's eyes, and immediately, every time I see Sihon, I feel seen, and I feel heard, and I feel affirmed. And I'd really like to lift her up as a part of my family and my community. My mentor and my friend Leah, I've also known for about 4 years now. And my friend Leah, I'll never forget the moment that they came to an award ceremony when I was being recognized for some activism that I had been doing. And I just remember seeing them and them coming up to me and saying, hey, let's take a picture together because we have to document this moment. And at the time, I had just came out to my biological family as queer and had been pushed away and shamed. And I just remember at that moment while we were taking that picture, thinking and recognizing them as a part of my family and knowing that they supported me. My friend Glen, I've known for about 5 years now. And every single day, without missing one day, without a beat, without a miss of a beat, we always share dog memes, really funny memes. We talk about our experiences as non-binary Latinx people. And so even when I'm having a really rough day and I come home after work, I know I'll always be able to look at my phone and I'll see a picture or a text from them about something that always makes me smile and always makes me feel seen. And I just want to lift up this one time where my friend Len, after a year of not seeing each other, surprised me and came to my graduation. And they came right before they had to go to work. They drove all the way just to give me flowers, to congratulate me and say, I'm so proud of you. And that meant so much to me. I want to lift these voices up because these are the voices that keep me strong in this time. Currently, I'm in a very new community for me where I feel really alone. And sometimes I feel ashamed for bringing up my sense of loneliness and also my sense of fear as someone that also has the privilege of having a job and being an essential worker. However, when I think of my community and when I think of the people that lift me up, I feel stronger. And I feel even when I experience racism, transphobia, and homophobia every day, that I think of these people And these people make me feel stronger. They make me feel more affirmed and more confident in who I am as a person. It is our communities that help us and encourage us to fight for what we believe in. And so I encourage you to consider, what are people in your lives that lift you up? Who are people in your community who you know you could talk to, even if you haven't talked to in a long time, that you could reach out to right now? And who are people whose words and actions have meant so much to you? And how can you use their affirmations to help you in this time to fight and to advocate for our communities that need us most? And to continue to believe in ourselves and affirm ourselves. This is what I have to share with you, and I thank you so much. Thank you.
Next, you'll hear an update from the Borders and Beyond Steering Committee. Borders and Beyond is a ministry of our congregation. You'll remember it began about a year ago, helping our congregation focus on immigration justice efforts. Initially, our congregation formed an accompaniment team to support an asylum-seeking family, Ruth and her 2 kiddos, who quickly became part of our congregational family. At that time, a fund was established, the Borders and Beyond Family Fund. This money is set aside for helping families like Ruth's cover necessities such as legal and medical bills and additional costs associated with resettling in this area. And the Borders and Beyond ministry, as it unfolded, expanded the scope of that fund to then also cover trainings, educational experiences, and to bolster support for immigrant and refugee communities in Sonoma County and beyond. And so the ministry has been ongoing, and the steering committee would like to share with you a little bit about where some of the funds have been going recently and how in this time of COVID-19 this ministry continues to be deeply connected to immigration justice organizations in our area and to participate in the web of care and support for immigrant communities.
Greetings from Borders and Beyond Steering Committee. Under the umbrella of NBOP, North Bay Organizing Committee, 3 refugee families were supported by company teams. The families are diverse, a transgender woman from Mexico, and families from Guatemala and Nicaragua. The role of the team is to advocate for the family and the community to meet their unique needs of food, shelter, health, schooling, work, legal counsel, to name a few. Borders and Beyond provided $900 to assist in this effort. Next, Larry will tell us a story of one of these families.
The Nicaraguan family was threatened after the husband made statements against Nicaragua's corrupt government. Fearing for its safety, the family fled to the border. Their 3-year-old daughter almost died while being denied medical attention in a detention facility in Mexico. Finally, they were one of the few to enter the United States, where they are now applying for asylum. Both the husband, who is an accountant, and his wife are struggling financially, working 6 days a week in low-paying jobs. They need resources for their attorney and their rent.
We've also donated $500 to VIDAS, which stands for Vital Immigrant Defense Advocacy Services. It is a unique organization in Sonoma County, founded in 2014 by attorney Richard Koshner, to assist immigrants with a range of legal issues at low cost or by way of grants. VIDAS has had a relationship with UUCSR for many years and is located just about a block away from the Glazer Center.
A special note, Richard Koshner provided a huge amount of pro bono legal assistance to Ruth and her family last year. He also coached us, the Borders and Beyond team, about the complexities and realities of asylum law. VIDAS is a highly ethical, hardworking nonprofit that's continued to provide services by phone and online throughout the COVID-19 period. We can't thank them enough for all they do for the immigrant community in our county.
Borders and Beyond is proud to report that because of your generosity, we've been able to donate $2,500 to UndocuFund. The UndocuFund was originally established to provide emergency aid to our immigrant neighbors, many of them undocumented, whose lives were seriously disrupted as a result of the 2017 Tubbs fire in Sonoma County. An estimated 38,500 undocumented immigrants live in Sonoma County, and unlike other victims of natural disasters, they do not qualify for most emergency assistance, unemployment benefits, or most government relief funds. UndocuFund is a collective local effort sponsored by the North Bay Organizing Project to ensure that undocumented individuals and families who've been affected by natural disasters in loss of employment, wages, and housing have access to emergency resources.
UndocuFund was reopened as the coronavirus pandemic and subsequent closing of business and shelter-in-place orders has had a serious negative impact on the undocumented workers in our community. Specific eligibility criteria and review procedures have been established for awarding of grants based on an application process that verifies the applicant's status and needs. Of the funds donated to UndocuFund, 90% go directly to funding grants, with the remaining 10% to cover administrative costs. As of now, there has been an overwhelming number of requests for aid, and there is currently a wait list for new funds as they become available.
We have also contributed $600 of your generous donations to Abba House, one of only 3 remaining migrant safe house shelters in all of Mexico that provides safe passage for people escaping violence, danger, and poverty in their home countries. They work with all demographics of people, men, women, children, LGBT individuals, and they provide basic legal, medical, and psychological assistance. ABBA House is closely supported by UU Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende through management, financial support, and volunteering. It's through our UU brothers and sisters in Mexico that we became aware of ABBA House, which helped us with our efforts to aid Ruth's husband, Manuel, when his life was in danger in attempting to join Ruth and their children here in the United States.
We are so grateful for the generosity of our congregation that supports this shared ministry. Borders and Beyond continues to hold deep concern for the precarious situation of the many undocumented residents of our county. We're watching local and state and national policy developments through this COVID-19 health and economic crisis. Our aim is to stay in contact with other organizations here who are providing relief and assistance and to keep informing the congregation. So please do stay tuned for more updates.
The sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness there inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. True colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Show me a smile and don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing.
If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, don't you know you can call me up because you know I'll be there.
And I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
I can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up because you know I'll be there. And see your true colors shining. And see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors.
Before I begin, it's important to say that I have discussed this with my daughter, and she has given me permission to share this part of our journey. She read my reflection and only asked that instead of her given name, I stick to pronouns, and so I shall. There might have been clues all along, but we must have missed them. Her teenage years were difficult at our house for a variety of reasons, not all to do with our daughter. This turned out to be one of them, however. I remember well the day we found out that she is queer, which is the term she uses now. We were having the windows washed, and I'd ask her to please clear off her bed so the crew could have access without disturbing her stuff. After she had left for high school, I went to open the room, and on the bed was a journal. Honestly, I felt as though she had left it there specifically so that I would find it, read it. Maybe I should have just moved it, but I didn't. Everything was so secretive behind that closed door. Giving no more excuses, however, I did read some of it. It was enough to learn that she was queer and figured that her parents would absolutely freak out when they found out. I could understand why. She had gay friends where that had happened. Additionally, we were members of a church which viewed homosexuality unfavorably, to say the least. I could understand being worried. Maybe she had no idea we believed in a God who loved and welcomed all people. And we had welcomed her gay friends into our home, served them dinner, laughed and bantered with them. Honestly, I don't remember the conversation that must have ensued after we learned this about our daughter. I think I would have remembered a conversation if there were yelling or tears, but maybe not. Our daughter says there were lots of tears, and I was very sad. And she remembers that she was not ready to come out to us. We had a lot of work to do to regain her trust. In the ensuing weeks, I remember comments we got from a therapist she was seeing and the parent of a friend. They seemed to convey disdain that we would go ballistic, be ugly, disown her. But we hadn't. I believe she was afraid, and so were we. To say we were on edge would be to put it mildly. Her dad and I knew enough to see that the road ahead of her was going to be difficult at best. No parent wants to see a child suffer or struggle, ever. I think most parents have a storyline about their child's future. I certainly did, but it was clearly not her path. This new information meant letting go of my fantasy about what her life might be like. The next few years after she came out, or was outed, were tough for so many reasons. Learning how to communicate with a teenager who believes you, the parent, are the enemy is tough. Maybe we were just slow. Learning what we could about a new culture was awkward at times. We're still learning. Bill Staten's sexuality classes at UUCSR continue to help with that. I know that as she moved on to college and then employment in the Pacific Northwest, we kept trying to keep the lines of communication open and let her know we were on her team and we were not going away. I remember telling her at some point that she would always be our daughter, and there was nothing she could say or do which would change the fact that we love her. Through thick and thin, we have held to that message because it is the truth. We love our daughter, period. She is a grown woman now, partnered with a trans man whom she loves dearly, and so do we. It's clearly mutual. They are bright, passionate, caring, witty, justice-minded individuals who are building a life together and have been for the past 7 years. They support each other through tough times, just as we would hope. He is a very good match for her. We are very proud of the two of them standing firm in their relationship, no matter what happens in the culture around them. Though we have failed often enough, we know that as parents, it is not our job to judge and criticize this woman who was born of our love. It is our job to know and love her just as she is.
I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you, so don't be afraid.
My message today is really threefold. The first is distinctions. Let us listen deeply right now to leaders of color who are sharing what it is distinctly to be a person of color in this country and how that waking reality is very different for the waking realities of so many white folks in this country. So let's listen deeply and acknowledge the distinctions that are being named, called out, and trying to be remedied right now. Let's remember that there is a journey right now to heal the wounds of history, 500 years of painful history. And so let's listen deeply, especially those white who, like myself, have white skin privilege. Let's listen to this distinctions, recognizing that there is not one story about what it is meant to be a person living in this country. Number two, common cause. Let's remember and deeply live into a spirit of common cause, recognizing that there is a struggle right now for a future of multiplicity, a future that can be multiracial, a future that can be multi-religious, a future that can be multi. This is a struggle for a future in this country that is not a future that is mono, only one. This is a challenge right now, and it is an important time for us as Unitarian Universalists, as human beings, to reach deeply into our hearts and rise up for common cause. There are so many ways to participate in the common cause for humanity, for one another's dignity, and for justice, particularly for Black liberation right now. So I invite those with white privilege to keep on journeying towards unpacking and understanding what whiteness is, how it operates in the country, and how it's part of a system of oppression. That doesn't mean that the color of one's skin is, a source of oppression, white skin. It does mean that whiteness, white culture, and the way in which white culture has rendered invisible the experiences of people of color, and in fact the way in which whiteness has been built culturally on a system of domination is important to unpack and understand right now. And then to also keep moving forward in building common cause and being led by folks of color and being participants with multiracial organizations in the struggle for the future of our country. Because indeed, this is a struggle for human life. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we say that there is intrinsic value in human life. We say that we're all connected in the fabric of this existence. Our Universalist strand said and continues to speak through our lives, saying we're all in this together, and no one is free till we're all free. And indeed, this time reveals that so deeply. And so I want to also say, third point, let us deepen into a sense of the holy mystery, that which is bigger, deeper than any single one of us. And let us avail ourselves of the deep spirituality that comes from remembering that we are so deeply connected, more deeply than we can even imagine. Let us remember that love can prevail. Let us be agents of that transformative, compassionate love. Let's remember to keep humble. Let's keep hopeful. And let's keep focused on resilience and growing our spirits in these times. Finally, on a concluding note, I want to speak to the power of breaking binary thinking. There was a book that Era shared with us this morning, a simple book, a profound book, a children's book, with a teaching that we could all use at every age, which is now's the time to break binary thinking. Binary thinking that says there's only this way or that way. You can only be a human being if you look like this or that. You can only have a partnership if that partnership looks like this or that. You can only be a human being in the world if you look like this or that. There is a multiplicity of ways that we can be expressed in our humanity, and I believe that the Holy Sacred Mystery expresses in so many ways. Let's honor that divine, the divine that lives in multiplicity. Blessed be, and amen.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for its soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for its soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle